All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Morgan Heitzma with Scott Leroy Marketing, and today we're going to be talking about our Docusign, specifically our Docusign connection within our KW Command platform. Now, before I go ahead and jump right in, just know throughout today's training, if you have any questions, just please feel free to throw them in the chat box down below. I'll do my best to answer them as we navigate along here. If I forget or if I miss any questions that you guys have during the training, just know that I'm going to stay for a few minutes afterwards to help address those. And if by chance I just don't know the question that you're asking, or if I need to dig in and troubleshoot a little bit further, just know that you can reach out to us at support@scottleroymarketing.com. I'm going to go ahead and throw that in the chat box down below for you guys. Additionally, just know that this class is going to be recorded. So after today's training here today, will be housed on our YouTube page. So it usually takes about 24 hours to upload and process, but I'm going to throw the link to our YouTube down below so you guys can watch this at a later date. Now, as we go ahead and take a look at our screen right here, we are on the KW Command homepage or the login page. And as we take a look here, the first thing to note, if we're talking about Docusign and KW Command, is we're going to need to make sure that we initiate the Docusign connection within our KW Command system first. If we were to go to, say, docusign.com, the chances are we're going to be creating an incompatible account to be connected with Docusign, to be connected with Command. So first and foremost is going to be signing into our KW Command system here. If this is your very first time, it's going to be agent.kw.com. You're going to be greeted with this homepage right here, this login page, and it's going to take your KW username and password. As we are taking a look right here, our KW username and password generally consists of our first letter of our first name followed by our last name. If it's a pretty common combination like John Smith, you may have a number associated at the end here. Yes, for the chat box down below, we are going through our Docusign 101 here today. This is going to be connecting our Docusign within our KW Command, as well as kind of knowing how to kind of utilize it within our opportunities. Now, as we go ahead and take a look right here, I'm going to use a Scott's login. So we're going to sign into Scott's KW Command here. And as we take a look, we're greeted with the home page. And on this home page, and let me zoom up a little bit so we can see this a little bit easier. There we go. On our home page here, we have a number of different icons on the left-hand side. These are going to be our navigational pages. And within our navigational pages, if we click on the red KW square, it'll just open up these titles so we can kind of read them a little bit easier. As we are taking a look at this drop down right here, our main focus or where your Docusign is going to live inside of your command is going to be your opportunities right here. So it's going to look like two people shaking hands. It's going to be right above your campaigns. Now, before we actually navigate to our Docusign here, we want to make sure that we first have a few setup pieces in place. And the first is making sure that we have our Docusign connected. The second is going to be making sure we have a contact to create an opportunity for. And then the third is going to be making sure we have that opportunity created. So first and foremost, we're going to go ahead and click on our name on the top right-hand corner here. And when you give this a click, you get a drop-down menu, and we're going to be actually looking for the settings button. It's going to be third from the bottom here. It's going to have a little gear icon. And once we give that a click, we're greeted with our settings page. And on our settings page, this is going to be where we go to kind of connect all of our third-party applications. But there's going to be a couple connections, much like the Docusign, that's going to be a little bit different. So for the most part right here, if you have Facebook, you can go ahead and connect that. If you have Instagram, if you use Google Calendar, you can go ahead and connect those. But the Docusign section is going to be the start of setting up your KW branded Docusign account. So this is going to be kind of like a special connection here that's a little bit different than the rest. So as you see right here, I already have this DocuSign connected. I'm going to go ahead and disconnect this. Before I do so, just note that that when you go ahead and connect a DocuSign account, it should give you a good indication on what email address is connected to that KW branded account. So when I go ahead and disconnect this, if this is your very first time connecting your DocuSign account, you may not see it at the very top right here. These are all the connected applications that we have. And then after the connected applications, they kind of segment into different categories here. Social category, productivity, marketing automation. And I believe you're going to first find this DocuSign connection between your digital signatures and transactions. We scroll down here, and then it created a new category for us because once we connect this, it's not going to have anything else in this category, so it's going to go away. So taking a look here, this is where we first find our KW DocuSign account ready to be connected here. If we go ahead and click on Connect Account, you get this pop-up here. And one thing that I forgot to mention while we were signing into the KW Command platform here is we really strongly urge you to use the Google Chrome browser, the incognito window, or even possibly Firefox. We've seen Microsoft Edge and Internet Explorer kind of have difficulties with these pop-ups right here. So if you're not seeing this pop-up right here, I'd suggest checking your web browser and then possibly navigating over to the Google Chrome browser, as it may help bring these pop-ups here for you to kind of finalize these connections. But as this pop-up appears right here, you see we have a place where we can enter our first name, last name, and our preferred email. Now, if we think about in terms of getting an account set up and connected, we still have to create a password here. So this kind of is the first half of our DocuSign connection being set up. Once we click Send Registration Email, this is actually going to send a email to this account right here from DocuSign. And the email is going to have a button for you to go ahead and create that password as well as a security question. So it's kind of a two-part setup. Now, keep in mind, if you are trying to use an email address that you have a previous personal DocuSign account with, you may get an ugly red error message right down below here saying that that email is already being used with an incompatible DocuSign account. So this is why it's super important to come here to the settings first, because this is where we actually go to kind of create that. Now, for those of you who may be wondering, how do I swap my email address when we go ahead and get this connected, it does take a certain set of steps. So if you're looking to do an email swap with your DocuSign here, please reach out to us and we'll be sure to kind of send over those steps to you to make sure that everything gets transferred over smoothly. Christian, if your DocuSign's already connected, absolutely just go ahead and keep it connected here. This will be for the individuals who have not yet connected their DocuSign account. Once we go ahead and connect this here, you can go ahead and follow right along. Now, as we go ahead and take a look here, since I already have a DocuSign account and since I disconnected it to kind of show us where this DocuSign would first live, if I somehow get my DocuSign account disconnected, or if I need to disconnect and reconnect it because the connection is acting up, we can disconnect it and we get back to this page right here. Instead of send registration email, there's going to be a second option that says login here. And if you already have a KW branded DocuSign account, we can go ahead and just sign in. So I'll type in Morgan Heitzma. And I'll click log into DocuSign, and it should bring a pop-up for me to kind of plug in my password and then log in. Again, these are very important. If you're not seeing these pop up, please check your web browser. Now, I'll also say DocuSign is connected and now ready to be used within our opportunities. So it gave us a cool banner just stating that these are connected. You can start using them in our opportunities now. And you'll also see that DocuSign shoot all the way up to the top within our connected app section. So, so at this point, we've disconnected and we've reconnected to DocuSign. The only thing that I did not show you would be that registration email that gets sent over from DocuSign. Again, when you do go ahead and send this or set this up for the very first time, please check that email address that you've plugged in to use, as there could be a DocuSign email waiting for you. Now, now that we have this set up and connected right here, the next thing is going to be sure to create a contact. Now, clicking on the red KW square right here, and then clicking on contacts, this will be where your database lives. So this will be a great way for us to be able to enter a contact that we need to create a transaction for, or find a contact that's already within our database that we need to create a transaction for. And when I say transaction, I mean opportunity. So for example, I'm going to kind of save a little bit of time here, and I'm going to jump into a contact that I've already created. But if you're wondering how to create contacts and work on your database and truly the whole contact section inside of your KW command system, just know that we have a full in-depth training much like this on this section here for you. But for the time being, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and find myself as a contact here. And once we have a contact that we want to use and create an opportunity for, we can go ahead and click on opportunities right here, and we can create an opportunity this way by clicking create opportunity on the top right hand corner, or we can just navigate to our opportunities section inside of our KW command on the left hand side. So really truly up to you. If you're working on your contacts for the time being, maybe create an opportunity right here. If you're working on your opportunities, maybe create an opportunity through here. I'm going to actually create an opportunity through the actual opportunities page, just because that's where we're headed anyways. So clicking over here to our opportunities, now that we have a contact that we know that we want to create an opportunity for, I can click on create opportunity on the top right hand corner here. If you belong to more than one market center, or if you're transferring market centers in the middle of transferring, you may have a selection right here to choose which market center you want to attach your opportunity to. Please keep in mind that once we create this, you will not be able to change your market center, or if you belong to a team versus a personal, you won't be able to change that either. Last but not least, if it's a listing or a buyer, once we create, we will not be able to change it to a different timeline. So keep in mind that some of these sections are one and done. Some other sections like the client, the opportunity name, these may be able to be adjusted later on. I'm just going to do a quick little listing right here. I'm going to search for myself. Oops. So we'll actually remove ourselves from the dream team right here. We'll just do ourselves. There we go. And I'm actually going to use the one with my email. As we scroll through here, and keep in mind, DocuSign is truly going to be where you send out signatures to your clients to sign. Send out forms for your clients to sign, and then they'll be sent back to you digitally. So the most that we have to have is at least an email address associated right here. But I think for the most part, I can kind of get away with just filling in the bare basics in this. Again, we have a full training on our opportunities as well. But just to kind of jump into our DocuSign here, I'm just going to go ahead and click on create and make our way into the opportunity. Now, once we make our way to the opportunity here, this is where I can kind of slow down a little bit. Once we're inside of an opportunity, you have a number of different menu buttons that you can choose between. We have details, seller profile, marketing, documents, offers and commissions, notes, and timeline. Our details section is essentially kind of like very similar to your contact profile. only this is going to be pertaining to your transaction instead. So the left-hand side is going to be all the information that you just filled out. The right-hand side is going to be that listing information. So since this is a listing that we chose for our opportunity, I can just at the very beginning here select from listings, and I can choose a listing right here to connect with this opportunity. And I'm just going to choose just a random listing here just for us. And as you see, once that listing information gets connected, all that information starts to populate on the right-hand side here. So now we have a listing associated, this 123 Lawrenceburg, Kentucky. As we are navigating along here, you also see Morgan Heitzma is going to be that contact name. So Scott Leroy is the agent, Morgan Heitzma is going to be the contact. So moving along here, once we jump into our documents in our opportunity, this is where we're really going to see the DocuSign play out. First and foremost, one thing to keep in mind here is on the right-hand side, you'll see start a transaction. You'll see a dark gray button. If you do not see any button over here, if you don't see start a transaction or go to transaction, chances are you have not quite successfully connected your settings just yet, your DocuSign inside of your settings. So, so please go back over there if you're not seeing this button just yet. Try to reconnect or reach out to us and we can kind of jump in and try and troubleshoot for you. As we are seeing this gray button, this is an indicator that we do have DocuSign connected to Command, but we don't have a DocuSign Room connected to this opportunity yet. So as we click Start a Transaction here, what's going to happen is it's going to give us a new tab to DocuSign.com. It's also going to create a room that's connected specifically for this one transaction right here. So the last thing that's going to happen is this button's going to turn from dark gray to one of these looking buttons, kind of white with some blue text. And this is an indication that you do successfully have a DocuSign Room connected to this opportunity. So giving this a click here, we'll wait for that pop-up. So we'll select DocuSign. We'll wait for this new tab pop-up. As this connects right here, depending on how long it's been since you signed into your DocuSign, it may ask you to sign in one more time. And then you're greeted with this DocuSign Room right here. Now, keep in mind, you may or may not have forms that automatically populate inside of your room right here. This is contingent on your market center. So, so more often than not, it may just be a blank room. Sometimes you may have forms that automatically populate. Taking a look right here, as we have this successfully connected, if I go back to my 123 Main Street again, you'll see again, much like I was saying, this indicates that there is a room connected now to this opportunity. Once we connect a DocuSign, another thing happens within our document section right here. Originally, you'll have attached files from computer where you can drag and drop. But once you connect your DocuSign, you'll have a DocuSign section right here. Now, sometimes it's a little confusing because as we click on DocuSign right here, all of these get grayed out. Truthfully, there's one more toggle that we have to select, and that's going to be our working folder right here. As we dive in a little bit more, and as you work on your files a little bit more, you have an opportunity to kind of create a number of different folders right here. Maybe you want a signed folder. Maybe you want a working folder. So, so as you kind of see these and as you start to divide out your documents, I can click on the blue Actions button right here, and I can add a secondary folder. So if I wanted to, I can write Signed right here, and I can click Create, and I'll have a signed folder, and then I'll have my room docs. And now, say if this was signed, for example, I can actually drag this over, and now I'll have an option to choose between the two. So giving this a refresh right here, we'll have two options for our working folders. We'll have our room docs, which is that original stock folder that gets auto-populated. And then we have our signed docs. So now when we go ahead and click on signed docs right here, We don't have any signed, so these are just forms right here. None have been completed just yet, so they don't kind of reflect right here for us. But they should once they come back. You should have a list of drop down to choose between. Now, as we are taking a look inside of our Docusign room, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to close up this signed room right here. I'm going to delete it, and we're going to start off originally again, much like how a brand new Docusign room is created. And taking a look here, if this is your very first time jumping into a Docusign room, the top left-hand side right here is going to indicate the same information that's on that opportunity. So Morgan Heitzma listing right here. As you see, that's the title of this opportunity, Morgan Heitzma listing. Going back, the address 123 Main Street, Lawrenceburg, Kentucky. So we know that everything that we're doing inside of here is solely for 123 Main Street. And as we are kind of going through here again, you'll have your contact information. So remember, Morgan is the seller, right? And Scott is the listing agent. As we go over to details right here, because it automatically starts you off in documents. As we go over to details right here, there we go. This will be where all of your information gets pulled from your opportunity. So Morgan Heitzma listing, opportunities on the list side. It even pulls in the market center right here. And as we scroll through, you'll have your seller 1 information. You'll have your seller 2 information, listing agent 1, listing agent 2, buyer 1, buyer 2, buyer agent 1, buyer agent 2, and then buyer broker and listing broker. So you'll have all this information to pre-populate. And chances are you may have to enter in some information that's not pulling from the opportunity, right? Like the opportunity may not show some additional context that's in here. So as we're taking a look, it's pretty cool because one thing that we noticed, it pulled in the seller. So Morgan Heitzma pulled in my email address. So every time I go back to these documents and I pull in a form, again, these ones pre-populate. If I jump in here, okay, let's go ahead and see if we can add another form. Before I jump in and add another form right here, clicking add on this top right hand section right next to those action buttons. Clicking add is where you actually go to add your forms to your Docusign library, or sorry, to your Docusign room right here. So you can pull forms from your computer. You can pull forms from your zip form. You can pull forms from any one of your like drives right here. And then you have a section called Docusign Forms. And Docusign Forms, if you see this icon, it's very similar to this icon that's on these forms right here. This is what we call Power Form. And all of the information that I showed you on this Details tab right here can get auto-populated to these Power Forms just by pulling them in. So giving a click right here, clicking on Docusign Forms, we're going to have Packets and we're going to have Library. So giving a click here, I'm just going to pull one of these forms in. And if you're wondering what these forms consist of, there's going to be an eyeball that we can kind of click and view. We can see that this is the correct form here. And then we can go ahead and check it and then add selected. And what it does is it just adds it to your room. I believe there is some caveats. I believe you can only pull in one of the same form into your room right here. But given a click, it should open up what this form consists of, and we can fill it out right here on this page. So pretty cool. So it pre-populated this information: 123 Main Street, Lawrenceburg, Kentucky. Morgan Heitzma is the seller. We didn't populate any buyer information, so there's no buyer right here. But for example, if we were to go back to that details page right here, and if on the right hand side, if I were to create a buyer, buyer one right here. And if I add John Doe right here as a, oops, that's the listing agent. Let's go ahead and edit that really quick. There we go, buyer one, John Doe right here. We go ahead and save that, and we jump back over to our document section right here, and we jump into that file that we pulled in. It should pre-populate that information for John Doe right here. As you see, pulled in John Doe. So these power forms are really cool because if you just fill out the details section of your Docusign Room right here, those power forms should do a lot of the heavy lifting. Now, I always suggest, you know, double checking that everything is accurate on your forms before you send them out. However, you do have the ability to not have to do all of that extra data entry. All right, so question, I don't have packets. So packets are actually going to be a new thing that have just been added right here. I believe, gosh, I can't quite remember what this was called previously, but again, if it's saying something else for you, and if it's not saying packets, that's perfectly fine. Or go ahead and send us an email and some more information. We may be able to jump in and take a look for you. But as we're taking a look right here, all the forms automatically updated, or do we have to find all the uploaded, or do you have to find and upload them? So the forms are going to pull from 2 different locations, and that's a fantastic question because you may or may not see anything just yet. And this may be why the packets are empty as well. So again, if you haven't quite jumped into DocuSign just yet, in order to get these forms right here, inside of our DocuSign Room section, if we were to click on our name or our headshot on the top right hand corner here, it should give us a drop down, and we're going to choose Preferences right here. Now, within your preferences, on the left-hand side, you'll have a couple blue options right here. By clicking on Integrations, this will give us an option to add our Market Center forms as well as our board forms. And you may have a blue button, this Add a Provider, maybe a blue button. There may not be anything in here just yet. And if we can click on that blue Add Provider button, and there's going to be 2 options for us. There's going to be an option to connect our association, and there's going to be an option for us to continue to company forms without validation. And truthfully, what this link is right here is this is pulling in your Market Center form. So we'll go ahead and click that once, and what it'll do is it'll pull in this company forms right here. It's your Market Center forms, and it will add provider one more time. And again, if any of these apply to you, you can go ahead and select them. If you belong to the Realtor Association, we'll go ahead and give that a click, enter in our member ID number, our last name, and our association right here, and then that should pull that in for you. If you belong to California or a location that uses zip forms, again, go ahead and pull in your company forms right here, and then you're going to have a special zip form section up top here. We can go ahead and give this a click, enter in our zip forms username and password, hit save right here. And as we come back to any one of our DocuSign rooms, you should have that ability to pull from, jump back in here. You should have that ability to pull from that blue add button right here from the zip forms. If you don't connect it on the back end, you may have to connect it every single time you create an opportunity. But with that integration section, it should just pull in automatically for you, so you can pull from your transactions folders or from your zip forms library. So that will be how you get your forms added inside of your DocuSign right here. So again, name on the top right hand corner, preferences, integrations, and add provider right here, or zip forms. So so going back over here, we also have a couple other sections too, right? So say we want to, say this form right here is already filled out. We're ready to send it off to get signatures right here. Let's check it one last time. So we don't have a second seller right here, so that's optional. And then so now we have just some notes and then some signatures right here. So I think this is about ready to be sent out to get some signature. So at this case, I can click Save and Close right here. And on the top left-hand corner of each one of these documents, you're going to have a checkbox right here. Depending on which documents you want to send out to get signatures, each checkbox that you click right here will connect them. But it only takes one checkbox to open up this this menu bar right here. So if I uncheck this, there won't be a menu bar right here in the center. But the moment you check a form, it will show up and it will appear here for you. Now in here, in the very center of this button, you'll have a pen icon and it'll say Create Envelope. I can click on Create Envelope right here. One of the newer kind of features, I would say probably about 6 months or so, one of the newer kind of updates that Docusign had is it would originally take you to the next page where you would enter in the client's information, email, and then send you on to add signatures. They added this new section right here, which is pretty cool because this pop-up right here, we can choose to select and we can choose to continue. So either way that you want. If you don't want to bother with this, you can continue, and then we can just upload that information the manual way. But this cool pop-up right here pretty much states which individuals are signing this document right here. So if you remember, we have a seller one, and then we have a buyer one. So those are the two individuals that we've added onto this document right here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to leave buyer one checked, but I'm going to leave seller one unchecked. So you can kind of see what happens when you leave them unchecked versus when you leave them checked right here. So I'm going to add buyer one right here. And when we continue on the next page, you'll see that that it automatically populated John Doe's information. Now, keep in mind that that I didn't enter an email address for John Doe when we were inside of the details section. So that's why John Doe didn't populate with an email address. But if I were to have selected buyer one and seller one, it would have populated John Doe as well as myself down here. So I didn't have to go and add recipient and then find my information. Another thing, if you guys are used to Docusign before and you see this new update here now, the second part of this update is before we would have to enter in the contact's name, and then we'd have to go down here and we'd have to enter in the contact's email address. So, which is kind of tedious because if you're sending documents back and forth, there's going to be a number of times that you're going to be sending this out, right? So they updated this information right here to just auto-populate. So as we see right here, it auto-populated with Morgan Heitzma. I can give that a click, and not only will it auto-populate my name, but it'll auto-populate my email address as well. So I don't really have to do too much right here at all. So these are our recipients right here, and I'll get back to this in a moment, but I noticed that I skipped over my documents here. We only pulled in one document. We can click on that views to see it one more time right here. But as we pulled in that one document right here, just know that you have the ability to pull in more. So we can browse again from our computer. We can add rooms from our add documents from our room or use a template here. If I click on add room documents, it'll show all the documents that are currently inside that room. So as you remember, we kind of had about 3 in there. So I can go ahead and I can pull in a second or possibly third form right here to sign. Just gonna do a second one for now, and it'll automatically add this to this envelope right here. Oh yeah, we didn't have our NRDS connected, so we couldn't quite pull that in. Now, as we are going through here, I like to make the reference point of these envelopes are very similar to an old school mailbox where you package up a letter or an envelope, right, and you send it off. Only this is in the digital context. So your envelope is going to be your email, so to say. And down below, you'll have an email subject where you can kind of attach any context to it. If you want to add like the form title, or we need this back by Thursday, and additional context. Truth be told, Docusign does a pretty good job of having a nice, decent automated email to send off. So if you didn't want to adjust this at all, you don't quite have to. And then last but not least, coming back to these recipients right here, we did enter these in, but there's a few caveats that I wanted to kind of mention. The first, right next to these signers right here, we have these drop downs that indicate what this individual is doing with this document. So if I give this a click right here, we have a number of different options. Does this individual need to sign in person? Does this individual just need to receive a copy? Just needs to view, so on and so forth. So you'll have the ability to kind of adjust this as needed. Secondly, if you want to create like a password or add a private message to this DocuSign envelope right here, you can do that as well. So you can message your client, please use password this, that, and then they can jump in and sign their forms. The last thing that I wanted to mention, this is so important, you guys, and this is really dealing with technology as a whole, right? Dealing with technology, sometimes there's some weird situations, weird glitches that happen from time to time, and I'm about to show you one of them right here. As we're taking a look right here, we get to adjust who's going to be signer number 1 is going to be on top, and signer number 2 is going to be down below. If I were to go and adjust this right here, you'll see that it'll pop up some indicators right here. We can also view this by clicking on this checkbox, set signing order right here. But one thing to keep in mind is if I move this up, there may come a situation where now both of these individuals are signer number 1. It's just a small little technical glitch, but something to be mindful of, because as we're going and we're adjusting these ever so slightly to make sure that the signing flows accurately, there may be a situation where you want to come back here, and if you see this right here, you just may want to go back and just adjust this to the correct order manually. Okay, it should save you a lot of time, a lot of headache, but yeah, dealing with technology, like I said, it sometimes has those weird caveats. Again, as we're kind of taking a look right here, I kind of want myself to be signer number 1. Let's see right here. So I'm going to have myself as signer number 1 just because John Doe, I don't quite have an email for them. And I kind of want to show you what it looks like to kind of have this sent out. As we're going through here, we have the ability to hit next. If you want to save this for a moment and kind of wanted to adjust this a little bit more, we do have these options up at the very top here. By actions, I can save and close or discard. And then advanced options right here just kind of gives you a little bit more context, any kind of expiration date that you want. If you want this to be mobile friendly, we can go ahead and toggle that on, and so on. But I'm just going to click on next on the bottom right hand corner here. Oh, and I knew that they were going to peg me with that. So let's go ahead and let's use my KW email address for this. Let's use my SLM email. There we go. That should be fine for both of these right here. I'm going to hit next. And on this next page here, this is where we actually get to add signatures, dates, initials, timestamps, things like that. So first thing that I want to mention, and you may come across this a lot when you're using Power Forms, and I just kind of wanted to rest assured that with this right here, if you see any gray text right here, your clients are not going to be able to see this. This is your last call to enter any additional information from this Power Form. So if I wanted to enter any last minute information, I can do so here. Even if we send this on, this is going to come through as blanks. Taking a look on the left hand side with all of our orange action items right here. So these are all of the tools that we can apply to this form right here. When I select a tool and I bring it over, this right hand side is going to come up with a number of different options for this tool. So for example, if I click and drag over, go down to signature. If I click and drag over signature right here, you'll see on the right hand side, it opened up a number of different tools for me to be able to adjust this signature box right here. So the first thing to kind of note is the recipient. Truthfully, whatever is on the color right here is going to be that signer, and you can adjust the signer on the top left-hand corner by toggling this down right here. Each signer is going to have their own unique color. Signer number 1 is generally the Docusign yellow, Docusign orange, right? And then signer number 2 and 3, and then they just start changing colors. Now, if I wanted to adjust that here in a micro sort of way and say maybe this was supposed to be signer 1 and this was supposed to be signer number 2, on the right-hand side, I can just ever so slightly adjust that right here. So, so as we're taking a look at that, one last thing to note is if this signature is optional, if there's a section that's optional for the signer, there's going to be a required field section right down below. So if this is an optional signature right here, I can uncheck that, and you'll see that this this still retains that blue color. I don't know if you can see it too well. No, that doesn't quite help. But it kind of retains that blue outline, and I'll show you on the orange because it's a little bit easier to see. So we do that for the required field, and then you see it still retains the color. Now this is very different than what we saw previously up top here, where it's all gray. You're only going to have that gray section for you as the form creator. So as we have these sections right here, I want to pull in a couple more sections. I'm going to shrink this down so we have some more room to work with. And as we're scrolling down right here, I'm going to, again, make these a required field. I'm going to adjust them down a little bit more. And then I'm going to apply the signer right here. And then I can drag over a signer date signed. And the date signed is pretty cool because it's going to auto-populate based off of when this individual jumps in and actually goes through the process of signing this this document here. Yeah, absolutely. Hey, I can slow down for sure. I know that there's a lot within this this class right here, but also keep in mind that there's also going to be a DocuSign 201 class as well. Jumping through here, if you have any additional questions, just let me know. Is there a faster way to make multiple drag and drop signature sections? You know, I'm not completely sure. This is truthfully like what we got over here, right? So you can click and you can move. Oh, actually there is a quicker way. So if you actually drop over these signature sections, we can right click and copy, and then we can right click and paste. And there's going to be 2 sections to paste. If you just do a regular paste, it's going to kind of offset where you copied it from, kind of similar to that. But if you paste in a paste to location right here, you should be able to paste all of these to location. So that may be a little bit quicker way to add those email signatures without having to drag them over time and time again. As we're taking a look, I kind of want to just drag over a few more options here for us. And one right here is going to be a checkbox option. The date signed, this is, again, going to auto-populate. So I know it's going to be a little bit longer than we'd like because I think it has like a date, time. I think it has it all, right? So there's a full date and time stamp. And I don't think there's a way to shorten that at all. But it does auto-populate here for us. So so we don't have to worry too much about it. The checkbox is super cool too, because again, we have the option to give this a click, but there's a number of different tools that we have available here. So if I wanted to kind of adjust this, we can go ahead and we can kind of adjust the formatting. We can adjust the label, the group, and really be able to kind of do what we want with this. Drop downs right here. Drop downs are going to be really cool too. Again, keep in mind that the color is going to reflect who's going to be able to select this and choose the option. So in this case right here, this will be the seller or signer number 1. And with a drop down right here on the right hand side, again, kind of looks like a number of different options, but what we're truly looking for is going to be this this option right here. So I can kind of close our rules and our formatting and even our data label, but our options are really where we're going to want to kind of take a look, because here within our options we can edit our values. Oops. Oh yeah. So we can edit our values and we can add an option right here, and we can do option number 1, option number 2, and option number 3. You also have that as a standalone button right here, right above your options. So right here, if I type in option number 1, option number 2, and option number 3 right here, once this is entered in, I can kind of double click on this pretty rapidly, and it'll give me a real-time view of what this looks like for the signer. So again, we can make this a required field or an optional field, and we can set it as a standard as well. Instead of it saying select right here, if I wanted a default option of say 1, I can use that as a default option. It'll choose that one right. There we go. So so we have that ability to kind of play around with these as well. Now there's another section right here, initials. This is going to be pretty important as well. And one thing that I didn't quite show you guys is if there's ever any overlap in our tools right here, we can just give them a click and we can kind of shrink them down to kind of fit our document a little bit better. So for all of these, we can just go ahead and shrink down even our initial right here. I'm going to shrink this down a little bit more. And there we go. So so a number of different options for us to be able to play around with here. When we're satisfied with the way that this looks, what we can do is we can go ahead and, again, we'll have our actions where you can save and close. Say we're not ready to send this out just yet. We can save and close. We can discard it if this was just a sample that we're just playing around with how to use the tools and the options. Or we can just send this out on the bottom right-hand corner here. We can also preview what this looks like from our client's point of view. So, so as I click on preview right here, this is what it's going to look like for your signer number 1 for Morgan Heitzma. And this is what it's going to look like for John Doe right here. So this is Morgan Heitzma. And then when we switch over to John Doe, I believe John Doe may have a little bit less stuff for us to sign. Yeah, I think just about one signature. And this is what that date and time stamp looks like. So again, judging on where you're at, geolocation, and the date, it kind of shows one kind of long bar right here. So again, can't really adjust this too much, but at least we can know like what it looks like. You have a desktop version, you have a tablet version, and you have a mobile version. So again, whatever it looks like from your client's point of view, you'll be able to kind of preview that. One last thing on the preview, which is pretty cool, is you get to follow through what your clients are going to sign. So if you click on this start button on the left hand side, it'll have you go through the motions of signing and selecting all these different things right here. And then we can go ahead and hit finish. So that looks pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and hit send right here. And now what it does is it pulls me over to the page titled envelopes right here. And if you remember from the beginning, we were initially inside of documents right here. Then we made our way to our details to add a little bit to add a buyer, right? And then in our envelopes right here is where we can find all the envelopes that we sent out. if I made a mistake, say I accidentally entered in my client's email wrong, what I can do is I can click on addendum right here, or I can click on the title of the envelope, and this should allow me to correct the envelope to be able to send it out again. Now, not only that, but it also allows me to be able to see the timeline of what's going on right here. So it looks like we're currently waiting on morganheitzma.slm to sign. So as we're waiting for this to be sent over to our clients, as we're waiting for our clients to get this email, this is what that email will typically look like right here. So again, let me try and zoom up a little bit for us. So please sign. Again, I didn't change the title at all. I didn't change or add any context, but this is what Docusign would send to your clients to sign if you don't edit it. Now I can also click review document. This is from the client's point of view now. And again, your client will be able to agree, continue, start. We'll do that same sort of signatures and stuff. Your client's going to be able to adopt a signature. So all they have to do is click adopt and sign, and then they can continue onward. And once they hit finish right here, they don't even have to create a Docusign login. It asks them if they want to. They can say no thanks. But they also have the ability to download the files that they just signed as well. So pretty cool to be able to kind of have that. And I believe when all parties have signed up, it sends a copy back over. And then their client gets you finished signing, and your signature has been completed. Now, I know from our point of view, we have one more signer here, and again, if I give this a refresh, we can pretty much view that timeline, seeing that signer number 1 has completed. It came back with a check mark, says that it has been signed on a specific date and time right here, and then we'll see that John Doe still needs to sign their documents right here. So for the sake of time, if I go back over here and I correct this, I can enter in that same email address. I can click send. You can see that it says correcting right here. Everything else still looks pretty good, so I'll correct this. And as we're waiting for this, I should get another email sent over. Oh, yep, there we go. New message from Docusign, so I can go ahead and show that. And as you see, then it's sent over that second signature. So again, just being able to adjust and edit that very quickly. If you have like a wrong email or something, again, I can go ahead and continue right here, adopt and sign, and then I'll hit finish. There's only one thing for John Doe to sign. Say no thanks right here, and then you finish signing. So now both parties have signed this document right here. And jumping back over, there we go. I'm gonna X out some of these tabs here. If I go ahead and refresh this, it won't say waiting on others. It should say completed. There you go. So now we have a completed Docusign that has been sent out for signatures and that came back completed. And again, you can find your completed docs inside of your document section right here. It should highlight in a green check mark on the bottom right-hand corner of your file saying this is a signed document right here. Now at this point, what we can do is we can add that folder like we did previously. We can write signed docs. We'll drag this signed doc up right here. And now this will be everything that we're working on. Then this will be all of our signed documents. Now, again, we'll click a refresh on our opportunity as well. And we can choose between room docs and signed docs. We'll choose signed docs, and you'll see that we have our signed document. So now we can go ahead and add this signed document to our opportunity. And you'll see once a document has been added, you have the ability to submit to Market Center. So I think this will be probably a good place to kind of pause where we're at right now. Just note that there is a DocuSign 201 class where we're able to kind of go over best practices, tips and tricks, being able to invite people to your rooms, being able to add contacts to your DocuSign so they auto-populate to your address book, right? And some more about the details. We have some more stuff that we want to show you guys, but we're just kind of short on time here today. So just be sure to be on the lookout for a DocuSign 201 class. And for those of you who are watching this at a later date, thank you so much. We truly appreciate it. If there's anything else we can do, please reach out to us at support@scottleroymarketing.com.